Hi Denise. Last week you asked Diamond VIP how you could arrange a rebate in QuickBooks. You had a very particular situation in which you're selling to wholesalers at a certain price, and once they buy a certain cash value of items, they get a 10% discount, which is given to them in more of that inventory, but at a retail price. And you were wondering how to do this in QuickBooks. Well, the wonderful thing about QuickBooks is that it's a pretty simple process with the right items. Now, in order to set this up, I've gone into the items and services in advance, and I've created a couple of items. In your example you gave to me, you used cans, and at retail these cans are worth $10, and at wholesale you sell them for $5. So I took that and I ran with it. And I also created some subtotal items. Actually, this should not be a subtotal item. Let me change this really quick. It should be the discount or the rebate. Never mind me. Perfect. So I created some subtotal items, the retail subtotal and the wholesale subtotal. And these are simple items. It's just a subtotal type. Named it. You can put a description here with whatever you want. I put a description like, you received the above items due to the wholesale 10% rebate. And I'll show you how that works on a sales form. And then I created this, which is the actual discount item. This is a wholesaler rebate. And I'll show you how to fill this out. Now I named this, of course, wholesaler rebate. It's for 10%, like you gave in your example. And I attached it to the rebate expense account. And technically this is an expense because you are, of course, paying for this rebate. You're giving them something for free. Well, not for free. They're buying something first, but you know what I mean. You're giving them something extra. And as a result of that, you have to link it to an expense account. Now you can give it whatever description you feel is appropriate here. It is a description that your customer is going to see. So you want it to be something descriptive. I'm going to go ahead and cancel that. So I'm going to show you how to enter all of this stuff with your example of cans. Okay. Let's go ahead and close that. And let's just create a sales receipt. And let's say this customer is going to buy $1,000 worth of cans from us. Okay, they're one of our wholesalers. So say it's Northrop Grumman. It's a great customer to have, and they're going to pay by check. It really doesn't matter for our example. And for here, we're going to use the can item. You can use as many items as you want to. It doesn't have to be just one. You can have 10, 20 different items on here. They're going to be paying, and I'm going to show you a trick with this later on too. I don't know how you're using price levels, but there might be a really cool trick for you to see here in a couple of minutes. So, in your example, your customer pays $5 per can, and if they're paying $5 per can, they can order 200 cans from you in order to get 1,000. So they've got a $1,000 order here, which according to you is the point at which they would get a rebate. So for the next line, and by the way, you wouldn't necessarily have to do this, but I think it's good practice because it's something that your customer would see as a line on the printed sales receipt or invoice, and it's just a subtotal item. And it essentially just adds up all of the stuff that comes from above it. And in cases where you have multiple items, you would actually need to do this. You'll need to enter a subtotal item. You can enter a description. The above items were bought at wholesale price. Something like that would be descriptive for your customer. In the line below the wholesale subtotal, we'll put in the discount. Let's go ahead and put in the wholesaler rebate discount. And this is going to knock off 10% of the above subtotal. So if you have several items up here, the subtotal is going to add them together, and then you're going to give them that discount. And it's important that you include that subtotal if there are multiple items, because otherwise it's just going to take 10% off the last item that's on there. So right here we can see that they're essentially getting a rebate for $100. But in your example, you don't actually give them $100 back. You're giving them $100 worth of goods at retail price. So right now the sales receipt is for $900. What we want to do is we want to take this amount, which we've already got calculated for us thanks to QuickBooks. We want to take this amount and turn it into goods on this sales receipt. I'm just going to scroll down and put more cans on here, and I'm going to put $100 worth of cans. Already got the amount right there, and these are at retail price, which is $10. So we'll need 10 cans to make up that 100. So the two match now, and you could always put in another. Actually, I think this would be a good idea. You could put in another subtotal item, and you could call it retail subtotal. And this is just something letting your customer know that they got the above items. This this $100, or actually it'll tell them right there, $100. It'll tell them that they received that as a result of that wholesale 10% rebate. You want to get as much credit as you can for giving them this little extra rebate. And that's it. You can save and close this, and everything is perfect. The trick that I wanted to show you, and the thing that I think was a little bit confusing, I'm going to expand this a little bit just to break it out, look a little bit better. So the example that I was trying to give in my email to you related to price levels was a little bit tricky, and I understand, because it's hard to describe this sort of thing through text. So that's why we do these YouTube videos, to make it a little bit, not necessarily easier, but to better demonstrate the process. So here's the cool thing that you can do. You saw me manually change the rate, or it could be price per unit of these items. I changed it to $5 and I changed it to $10. What I would suggest you do, since you deal in wholesale and retail, is I suggest you actually create a price level for wholesale and a price level for retail. And this is going to save you a lot of time, because in some cases you'll have a bunch of different items on a sales receipt, and of course you can't look up the item rate for each one, and it's best to not have duplicate items. You want to use the same item over and over again so you can track sales in your reports as well as possible. So you don't want to have a different item for one cost or a different item for a different cost. You don't want to do it like that. So one of the great ways to do this is with price levels, and I'll just clear this and I'll redo it, but using price levels, just to show you how this would work. So the first one is a can. Of course, we did that, and we're gonna, right now we have the rate of $10, and that's the retail rate. But if you set up price levels, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute, I think you do use price levels, I just don't know how you use them. I'm going to click this drop down arrow right here, and I can choose which price level I want to use. There's the base price, there's the retail price, and the wholesale price. We want these to be wholesale. And right here we're going to give them 200 to those. We will include the subtotal, wholesale subtotal, add that up for us. Wholesaler rebate, 10% off, and we're going to put it in another can. And here we're going to use the retail price level, which is 10. It's the same as the base price. And we're going to give them 10 of those. And I'm going to create another subtotal, retail subtotal, and you're all set. So in some situations, actually, I would say in quite a few situations, using price levels in this way is going to be a lot easier for you to enter information on sales receipts. I'm going to close that, and I'm going to show you how I set up those price levels. And you can do it with a percentage or per item if you're using QuickBooks Premier. I'm going to go up here to the list menu and go to price level list. And as you see, I set up two different price levels, retail and wholesale. In the retail, I have a whole bunch of different items from other examples that I've made for people. But I also have the can here, and the can's custom price is $10 on the retail price level. This is a per item price level. And then I have the wholesale, and it's $5. And of course you can have a whole list of items on here with different custom prices. And what might make things even easier is if you have a customer who is usually one price level or another, you just go to the customer list, double click their name, and we're going to go to payment settings. You can actually give them a price level. Let's say Northrop Grumman is usually a wholesaler for us. Okay. Close that. I go to create a sales receipt for Northrop Grumman. Whenever I enter a can, QuickBooks defaults to that wholesale rate. But here's the great thing: while you're filling out this sales receipt, you don't want to be stuck with the wholesale price all the time, because as we've dealt with in this YouTube video, you want to be able to give them that rebate. So you still have the option to click that drop down arrow and select the retail rate or the base price if that's what you want to do, or you can just change it manually. But I just thought the price levels was a particularly great solution for your situation. So that's it. Hopefully you learned how to use rebates in your business in this little YouTube video, and please let me know if I've answered your question, and write back to us with any comments that you have or any issues that you might have with the solution. So hope to hear from you later, Denise.